Have you ever wished you could carry a cathedral, a cave, a vintage spring tank, and even your favorite reverb pedal inside a single stomp box? Well, now you can. Meet the Hotone Verbera. What's up, fellow budget tone chasers? Welcome back to one more video here at the channel. Today, bringing for the first time a product from a killer brand, which is already consolidated worldwide for being the best compromise between high-end in quality and prices. I'm talking about Hotone. And of course, I could not let it pass without reviewing their latest pedal release, the Verbera, a convolution reverb powerhouse that blends real-world impulse responses with lush algorithmic reverbs for some of the most immersive tones you ever hear in a stomp box. Better than that, it brings tons of reshaping possibilities, almost like a reverb lab. And what is the most unbelievable? The possibility to clone other reverb pedals. Sounds promising, eh? So without further ado, let's take a look at what comes inside this box. The packaging is simple but beautiful, striking that balance between elegance and product safety. Inside, you get everything you need to get started right away. You'll find the Verbera pedal safely tucked away. Inside the box, there's a helpful user guide, a special 9 volts 1 ampere center negative power supply, which is super nice since some of pedalboard supplies do not handle 1 ampere devices in 9 volts. And even 4 pieces of dual lock style tape to keep it firmly in place, as you do not want to damage your new gear. Now, let's talk a little bit about the functionalities that this beauty can offer. The Verbera isn't your typical reverb pedal. It's actually 2 pedals in one, as it has a built-in convolution reverb engine capable of loading and processing up to 1024 impulse responses from real spaces and vintage gear, and an algorithm to model an extra reverb called XR, a lush algorithm reverb with a built-in freeze function to sustain infinite tails. When you add to that an analog drive-through design for pristine signal integrity, stereo in and out MIDI control, expression pedal support, possibility to clone other pedals using the pedal hardware by itself, you definitely got yourself a studio-grade reverb unit in stomp box format. Another crazy thing is the amount of native reverbs, which are called IRs, in the pedal, and more than that, the tons of presets and available slots for additional customization. Let's go step by step, starting with the front panel controls. On the front panel, you got everything you need to sculpt your space. When the knob LEDs are in orange, it means you are editing the IR parameters, while if you click on Alt button, it will change the LEDs to blue, and instantly it becomes adjustments for the XR parameters, the extra reverb. The decay knob allows users to fine-tune the duration of the reverb tails, with an alternative function in auto mode for adjusting the same XR decay. The attack pre-delay control offers a dual function, managing the initial onset of the reverb sound or introducing a subtle delay before the reverberated signal becomes audible. For sculpting the tonal qualities of the reverb, the tone mod control can be used to adjust brightness or enhance the depth when modulation effects are active in auto mode. The mix knob provides precise blending capabilities, allowing users to balance the proportion of the original dry signal against the wet, reverberated sound, whether it's IR or XR reverb on auto mode. The preset knob control is a powerful feature, enabling users to select, save, and rename up to 200 distinct sound configurations, while the IR control facilitates the navigation through 120 preloaded factory IRs and any custom impulse response you would like, enhanced by smart sorting for efficient searching. Every time you click the IR knob, it will change the mode of classification, being available in 6 categories of sorting. First off, there's always the classic alphabetical order. It's straightforward, just sort them by their name, A to Z, easy peasy. Then, if you're thinking about the duration of the reverb, you can sort them by length, from the really long, lingering decays all the way down to the super short ones. It's helpful if you are aiming for a specific sense of space and time. If you are more focused on the texture, you might want to sort by smoothness. This means you arrange from the truly velvety, seamless decays to those that have a bit more grit and character, making them feel more textured. For those who are playing with the stereo image, diffusion is your friend. You can sort them by how wide they spread out in your stereo field, going from the most expansive to the more focused, narrower sounds. And if you're thinking about the mood and overall feel, brightness is a great way to sort. You can arrange them from the really bright, open spaces to darker, moodier, and more introspective ones. Finally, if you're concerned with how the reverb begins, there's sorting by attack. This lets you organize them from the reverbs that bloom really quick and immediately to those that have a slower, more gradual swell, creating those beautiful, lingering ambient textures. If the menu/alt button will be kept hold, it accesses the main setup menu for the pedal, in which you can control general functions. On the OLED screen, you can scroll using the IR preset knob and press it to confirm. Here you can select the input mode, selecting by mono, stereo or auto, switch the control mode between MIDI and expression, enable or disable the reverb trails, which lets your reverb decay naturally after bypass, and choose your MIDI channel for USB or TRS control. On top of that, a simple unique clone button is also present, with its specific functionality to clone other reverb devices. On footswitch side, the Active plus Freeze offers multi-purpose control. A tap on the Active can toggle the reverb on or off, while holding them down indefinitely freezes the reverb tail. When you hit freeze, the XR reverb captures the ambience at that exact moment and holds it indefinitely, creating a continuous pad of sound. You can keep playing over it with new notes or even change presets while the frozen texture sustains underneath. The volume of the frozen pad can be adjusted with the XR mix knob, as the reverb which is sustained is XR based. Additionally, these foot switches can be utilized for scrolling through saved presets, offering convenient hands-free operation. To toggle between control mode and preset mode, just press both foot switches simultaneously. This smart layout makes the Verbera both intuitive for live use and deep enough for studio crafting. Now, we need to talk about the connectivity of the Verbera, which is done by a simple and light computer application called Neon Collector. In this software, you'll be able to import or export your own IRs, manage your presets, sort and tag IRs with easy, and back everything up for seamless gig or studio workflows. Think of it as your IR librarian, giving you instant access to cathedrals, halls, studios, plates, and spring tanks at the click of a button. In the same application, you'll be able to maintain the firmware of the Verbera updated, which for sure promises to have lots of cool updates soon. The tonal range here is insane, from subtle room reflections to massive soundscapes that feel like film soundtracks. The texture of modulations are simple, and the absence of sound artifacts in the modulation proves that the 32-bit capability enables ultimate quality. Is that all? No. Before I'll give you my verdict if this amazing pedal is worth it, we need to talk about the most revolutionary function it carries, the cloning. For that, I'll explain to you in practice how to clone another pedal using the Verbera, and later we'll do a side-by-side comparison if it sounds the same. First, hold the clone button to enter clone prep mode. Now, you need to connect Verbera's output to the input of the target pedal and route the pedal's output back into the Verbera. Later, you need to set your target pedal to 100% wet, with no modulation or shimmer, as the Verbera will not clone the modulation of that pedal. Of course, you'll be able to edit the clone later with Verbera's native modulation, which is pretty cool. If you will not be able to set your target pedal to 100% wet signal, there are other workarounds which you can do in the Verbera, so you can try to set it with the least amount of dry signal possible. Now, hit start, and Verbera captures up to 20 seconds of mono reverb or 10 seconds of stereo reverb. To capture stereo reverbs, you need to use a TS-TRS cable to connect it. The full process takes around 45 to 60 seconds, and later you can save and rename the clone. And now you got your favorite pedal or rack unit living inside the Verbera forever. Or at least until you're going to purge it. Now let's hear if the clone sounds close enough and check how you can reshape the sound clone with the additional Verbera textures. Now it's time to share my perceptions. First of all, we need to start taking out the elephant from the living room. The Verbera is not exactly a budget pedal per se, if you will consider its price tag, but once you compare the unit capabilities with the competition, you see that the competition price tags are almost 100% higher. In terms of pros, it's clear that it offers an endless amount of possibilities, in a sense that you never need another reverb pedal. The extra reverb and the freeze adds huge creative potential, especially for those who are looking for ambient sounds. And when we add the clone function, it changes the game completely. Finally, the MIDI and expression controls make it ready to be placed in the most high-ending pedal boards, which shows that Hotone is really fighting with big fishes. But it doesn't mean that it's all a bed of roses. On the cons, the power requirements of 9 volts at 1 ampere may be tricky with some pedalboard power supplies, and the interface for renaming presets and IRs is a true pain in the ass, I need to admit. Honestly, this is one of the most feature-packed and inspiring reverbs I've ever tried. It nails the basic with pristine IR reverbs, goes beyond with XR and freeze, and the clone function opens creative doors you don't usually find in a pedal under $300. As the time of this review, the Hotone Verbera usually sells between $249 and $299, depending on the retailer. I'll leave links in the description for you to check out the best deals. But this is only my opinion, and now I want to know yours. Do you agree with me? And as always, if this video was helpful to you somehow, please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the like button so YouTube spread this video to many other people, and also becoming a member of the channel so you can enjoy special perks like anticipated video releases and monthly gear giveaways. You can do that by clicking join below or scanning the QR code at the corner of this video. I'll catch you on the next. Keep on rocking!